All right, sports fans, it's time for another edition of the Sports Couch, a look at area sports through the eyes of a local athlete, coach, or superfan. The Sports Couch is made possible by People's National Bank, a full-service bank with multiple locations throughout Southern Illinois to serve you. People's National Bank, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender. And made possible by Mount Vernon Title Company, your real estate closing professionals. When you need real estate closings, title searches, contract for deed, or any other legal real estate document, depend upon Mount Vernon Title Company. Who will be on the couch this morning? Let's find out. On this edition of the Sports Couch, we're going to talk Fairfield Mules football with head coach Justin Townsend of the Mules. Fairfield went on the road in a rare Monday night game. They played the game at Carmi on Monday night because of the bad weather over the weekend. They rescheduled it. And the Mules went toe-to-toe with the Bulldogs for much of the game. In fact, after three quarters, it was a 22-20 game. But the Bulldogs pushed across a couple scores in the fourth quarter. Some turnovers played a role in that game as Carmi comes away with a 36-20 win. And Coach joins us right now. And, boy, that's a tough one to lose because you were toe-to-toe with them. In fact, you had more rushing yards in the game than the Bulldogs, and that was something that might have surprised some people.
Yeah, I mean, obviously tough loss, especially, to your rival. We had our opportunities, but I've heard a few comments about the yardage. I mean, there's some hidden yardage there. Carmi had a 75-yard punt return, that doesn't show up in that yardage. That was a big play early in the game when I felt like we kind of had some momentum. Defense was playing well. We also had you mentioned the turnovers. Well, one of those turnovers, we turned the ball over inside the 10-yard line when we were getting ready to score again. So there were some things that, we essentially had opportunities, really, I think, maybe to kind of take over the game, and we didn't. And to Carmi's credit, they made plays down the stretch that they needed to win the game. And one of the things we talked about in our team meeting on Tuesday was 2-point conversions, how not getting those can play out the rest of the game. They change play calling and things like that. And obviously you mentioned it, and I've already mentioned it, as turnovers. Our last three games, yardage wise, we have been right there, but we've turned the ball over a couple more times than the other teams, and we haven't forced turnovers this year. That's something that we have always been really good at, really solid at, and defensively we just haven't been able to do that. Sometimes you're going to turn the ball over, but something that we haven't done is we haven't forced turnovers. So that's something that we got to get turned around. We need to get it turned around real quick.
Yeah, the loss drops you to 2-3 overall in the season. I mean, you're still got a chance to make the playoffs, but you got to make some hay here pretty quick. And you got the Flora Wolves on the schedule this week. It's going to be homecoming at the Train Yard, I believe. It's a Saturday afternoon game at 1 o'clock, I think. Yeah. And, Flora, they are, 3-2, so this is really a pivotal game for both teams.
Yeah, obviously both teams in the playoff hunt, we very familiar with our schedule, and we knew the middle half, this was going to be loaded, and, we've lost to two teams that are sitting there at, I think, 5-0 now, and Carmi's 4-1, but we were hoping that we would get one of those teams, one or two of those games. We really felt like we had that opportunity, but we didn't get it done. And
Flora's lost to those teams too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is where we're sitting at, and we kind of feel like this is a must win situation for us, obviously. But it's homecoming, and it's at home. Kind of a blessing for us. We feel like that because we played on Monday night. Now that we're playing on a Saturday as opposed to a Friday, so it gives us that extra day of preparation. Flora had their game moved to Saturday, so, kind of helps them out too. So, I feel like our guys are going to be ready. We've been banged up. We were down our two of our top running backs. We didn't have Miller Simpson. We're hopefully going to get him back, at least on defense, maybe for Saturday, so that'll be helpful. And there at times we have played really well. the last 3 weeks. I mean, we've made plays offensively and defensively. We got to get consistent. We got to be able to sustain it for 4 quarters. I mean, that's the big thing. We got to play a complete game, all 3 phases. You know, one of the other things I talked about was special teams. I hit on that. You know, we just have not played that complete game yet. I think we're ready. We're due, and I think I would like nothing more than to see it on Saturday, because that would be a good way to catapult the rest of our season and you know, get us on a roll, and maybe we can finish 6-3.
I know you've probably watched some game film by now of the Flora Wolves. So what concerns you most about Flora going into the game?
They got a nice athletic quarterback that can do some things. He's a threat to run. He's a threat to pass. A couple of nice receivers. You know, the Massey kid in the backfield's a good hard-nosed running back, just a sophomore, you know, but he's going to be a good one. I think they're improved defensively, you know, so, you know, I feel like, you know, Flora here in the next few years is going to be, you know, one of the better teams in the conference. I do believe that, you know. So, you know, I think we're going to have to be ready to play. I mean, they're adapting a little bit to our conference, you know, you know, as far as teams running the football and things like that, you know, and so they're getting better at defending the run, and so, you know, we're going to have to be ready to go, and I think it's going to be very similar to the last few weeks. It's you know, the team that can make a few plays down the stretch is probably going to get the win.
Yeah, and again, turnovers could play a big role, and if you could force a few turnovers, again, that would be a big change too, for sure.
Yeah, and it's you know, we work the turnover circuits, things like that in practice, but the big thing is when the opportunity presents itself, can you make that play? You know, when there's a 50-50 ball, do you make the play? When the running back's a little loose with the ball, do you make the play? You know, it's things like that, and a lot of it's just being in the right place at the right time. But, you know, you got to take advantage, you know, because those are big momentum swing plays and game-changing plays, quite frankly.
Yeah. Coach, we appreciate the time as always, and best of luck as you prepare for homecoming this weekend against the Flora Wolves, all right?
Yep. On a side note, the 1994, we're recognizing the 1994 NEC Championship team prior to the game this week. I was a member on that team. It's my junior year. But also, Coach Bob Hadfield will be back.
Oh, that's cool. That's great.
And he's coming in from California. So, you know, if you're out and about and want to see some of those guys, we got a lot of guys coming in.
That's great.
Out of town. So we're excited to have everybody back for this weekend. Should be a great crowd. Looks like the weather's going to be the complete opposite of what we had this past weekend. It's going to be beautiful. So, you don't have anything? Little Saturday afternoon football, 1 o'clock in Fairfield. It's going to be outstanding.
Well, let's ask you just a couple quick questions then. That 1994 team, obviously that was NEC champions. That was, you know, before the Black Diamond. And that's a big deal winning the NEC back then when you had those 8 teams, including Mount Carmel. So talk about that 94 season, that team you played on.
So we were undefeated in the NEC. Beat Mount Carmel. That was the reason it's so significant is that was the first conference championship prior until 1957.
Wow.
The year before. So
wow.
I mean, it really had not been done in a long time. And so when we were able to do that, it was really significant. And then obviously, if you beat Mount Carmel back then, and even now, I mean, it's a big deal.
Sure.
Sure. And we had beaten them. I'm not sure. 91, maybe we had beaten them also. So you know, that was the second time we had beaten them in the 90s. So it was a pretty big deal. But now we did go. We did win the NEC, but then we got beat week 9, upset by Newton. Which Newton was just kind of having an average year, but they did beat us. They played a tough schedule, and then we beat West Frankfort round 1 in the playoffs, and then Nashville ended up beating us round 2 at home. It's kind of a mud bowl game. They had Matt Gajewski at quarterback.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, went on to play baseball and football at Indiana State, and but just had a really good team, and you know, it was just a big deal, mainly because we hadn't done it since 1957.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
I think we had like 15 all-conference kids, players on that team, and you know, Coach Hadfield was named Coach of the Year, and it was just a fun time to be a Mule, and it's the 30th anniversary, and we wanted to get all those guys back here, quite frankly, before we get too old. So,
sure.
And get Coach Hadfield back here. He's been out in California. He left, I think, and I lose track of time, but around 99, I think, maybe, give or take. I may be off in a year or two, but he went out to California and has been an administrator out there. And I still talk to him a couple times a year. His roots are in Carterville, Illinois. But I said, hey, we actually have, you know, it was a Saturday game. We typically don't play homecoming games on Saturday, but with the official shortage, that's just how this worked out.
Right.
And so I'm like, hey, we got this Saturday game. We're playing Flora. And I said, it's our 30th year anniversary. I said, what do you think? And he said, I'll be there. So we started putting it together, and I think we're going to have a pretty good crowd.
That is awesome that Coach Hatfield's coming back for that. That is cool. That is great. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us. We encourage Mule fans to get out not only for the football game, but to see the members of that 1994 NEC Champion Mules team that's going to be coming back celebrating their 30-year anniversary. That's awesome. All right. Coach, appreciate your time, and good luck this weekend, all right?
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Right.